It's Tuesday, which means it's time for a tutorial, except no, it's not, because we've actually switched this week's tutorial to tomorrow because the app we're going to be covering, which is, well, I'm not going to say, is actually not released until tomorrow. So today we're doing first look, and we are looking at NFTX version 2. We'll be looking at exactly what NFTX does, why it's super, super handy if you have NFTs that you don't know what to do with, and what's coming up in version 2. But before we get into that, quick word from our lovely sponsors. Don't let high gas costs keep you out of Ethereum. A balance of the gas-optimized vault architecture makes trading cheaper than anywhere else. Liquidity providers can optimize their fee earnings using the dynamic fee system that automatically adjusts to market conditions. You can also use asset managers to lend out idle assets, dramatically increasing your capital efficiency. And because Balancer is an open platform for flexible, automated markets, you can choose from stable pools or weighted pools. And in the future, more designs will be created that they don't even know about yet. Check it out at balancer.fi. DeFi users, yes, you no longer need to pay expensive and unpredictable interest rates on your ETH loans. Liquidity, a decentralized borrowing protocol, allows you to borrow against your ETH interest-free. Loans are paid out in LUSD, a USD-pegged stablecoin, and must maintain a minimum collateral ratio as low as 110%. To learn more, head over to liquidity.org/Defiant to get started and get the most out of your borrowing needs today. With the fast-paced nature of the crypto industry, more and more wealth-building platforms are entering the market. Amongst them is Nexo, who fully protect and insure your assets for up to $375 million. You can buy crypto directly on the web platform or mobile app and start earning up to 12% interest on your idle assets. They also allow you to borrow against your crypto from 6.9% APR, and the best thing is your credit line becomes instantly available with no credit checks. You can even buy, sell, and swap 100 or so crypto and fiat pairs with zero price fluctuations. Check them out at nexo.io. Now, back to our first look. So today we're looking at NFTX, and yesterday they announced the arrival of NFTX version 2. It's a soft launch, and it's basically an upgrade to the original protocol. And if you didn't know what NFTX was, the best way to describe it is this. It allows you to create a DeFi layer on top of NFTs. What do I mean by that? Well, NFTs are just a pain in the butt, if I'm perfectly honest. They are cool. They can do a lot. They are exciting. They have this art creative layer on top of them. But if you compare them to a regular token, they are incredibly annoying. And that is because, firstly, they're difficult to price. Secondly, you need to find that one person who's going to buy it off you. So if you're going to go and sell, a bunch of ETH on the market, there's tons of people who are going to want to buy that off you. But with NFTs, you really got to find that one person who wants it from you. OpenSea does a great job of allowing you to sell and set a price. But sometimes you have an NFT that nobody wants. And that can be incredibly problematic because, as we know, things move very quickly. Liquidity it rules everything in this space. It literally is the biggest problem we have to solve. And that is the problem that NFTX is aiming to solve. It's saying, you have illiquid NFTs. You need to realize some liquidity on top of those. How are we going to do that? So, version 1 of NFTX, which we can have a look at here, was actually pretty sleek, I have to be honest. So what it will allow you to do is look inside your wallet, look at the NFTs that you have, and then you'll be able to mint them. What exactly is going on here when we say mint an NFT? Because isn't an NFT already minted? Now, I have a lovely selection of NFTs here. Some I'm proud of, some not so proud of. Pickles. That's a story for another day. But here we have a hash mask, and let's say we want to go and mint a hash mask. What we would do is we'd go to a vault. And the vault is basically a repository for all the hash masks that people who are having problems selling their hash masks want to deposit into. So the way it works is you have an NFT, you deposit into a vault, and in return you get given a token, a single token that represents a claim on that NFT. So if I were to mint this NFT token, the mint value would be 0.34 ETH. Now, I'm pretty sure I paid more for that when I bought them, but that's the story for another day. But by doing so, I can then put that NFT into a vault, get a token back in return, and then I can go to SushiSwap and sell that token. So the token allows me to derive the liquidity from the NFT that I put in there. And I'm pretty sure you can see something of an issue with this already, which is if I paid more for this NFT than 0.34, then I'm taking a big loss on doing so. So what NFTX is really targeted at is people with floor level NFTs who want to get some liquidity back from them. If you have a higher value NFT, it gets a little bit harder to use this. But there are a lot of people who, when they buy collectibles, for instance, they don't get lucky. They get a base level NFT and they want to do something with it. So this pool allows you to supply an NFT and get a token back that you can then sell. And on the other side, people can buy those tokens from SushiSwap and redeem them for an NFT in the vault. Which NFT you get? Completely at random. It could be any. So effectively, you've got this basket of NFTs that represent a baseline floor value. In this instance, it's 0.34 ETH. And so you could, if you were smart, go and, you look at the NFTs that are in the vault and you see there are actually some high value ones that have been misplaced into that vault. And you go, okay, cool. I'm gonna get a token from SushiSwap that represents a claim on one of these NFTs. And then I'm going to redeem it and get that NFT back. The only problem is you can't choose which one. So it's kind of like rolling when you buy a collectible, you don't know which one you're going to get. This is in version 1, mind you. So there's different ways of doing this. You can create your own vault. So let's say you're a majority holder in an NFT project and you want to issue some liquidity on that. You can set up a vault. That's actually pretty straightforward to do. You can mint by supplying one of your NFTs to a vault, and you can redeem by taking a token that you bought on SushiSwap and redeem it for an NFT in the vault. So as you can see here, by turning the floor value of a collection of NFTs into a tradable token, it can then be supplied to liquidity pools. It can earn interest. It can earn trading fees through AMMs like SushiSwap. And that's as far as it went on version 1. So you can see there are some shortcomings. What's also interesting here is if we look at the Explore tab, so we're still looking in version 1 here, you could see the vaults that have been set up. So Bored Apes, for instance, has a relatively small vault, and I suspect that's because the value of base level apes has gone up so much. It's actually better to have them on the open market. They're not sitting there doing nothing. Some other collectible projects haven't been as successful, and they have a bunch of NFTs sitting there that people can't do anything with and they can't sell. Hashmars, for instance, has 436 items in there, and as you can see here, the last sale price for this one was 1.63, but as we saw before, if I want to mint one, it's only going to cost me 0.38. So this one is in the vault for the wrong reasons, or at least it should be worth theoretically more than the floor price. And the reasons that's important is something we'll look at in version 2. But you can basically see here, there's a vault, and if we go back and look at, if we go back and explore again, where it gets interesting in version 1 is that there were different, there were different punks vaults. So punks are incredibly valuable, but there's different categories of them. There's zombies and aliens and robots, this kind of thing. So there were vaults for different levels of rarity, and that is something that is going to change. So here we are, there's a punk zombie vault. So you could, and there's 2 sitting in there. No idea why. Those are probably worth a fortune, absolute fortune. So before I go and look at version 2, to look at the differences, for instance, if we wanted to go and buy the token that represents a claim on one of these NFTs, here's how we would do it. You go to swap on Sushi, and this opens up the Punk Zombie to ETH trading pair. But of course, I have no idea what this is actually worth. So what I would do now is I go to SushiSwap Vision, and look for that pair. So I think it's the Punk hash zombie, Punk dash zombie, there we go. And that will tell me what the price is for one of these. and there's no liquidity, there's no volume. It's almost impossible to tell what's going on here. But here's a telling statistic: the last price of a punk zombie, $719,000 and 273 cents. So there's some really weird trading behavior going on here. Someone has bought 0.00123 punk. It would take you an awful long time to make that back. But I guess because it's all fractionalized, you can kind of slowly derive liquidity from your asset. But yeah, the total liquidity there is not enough to cover the price of one punk zombie. So bit of a tricky pool, that one. For instance, if we looked at what would be a good one, let's look at a different vault. For instance, waifus. Let's have a look at the waifus vault. And we go and look to swap on sushi. So what's the token? Waifu. We want sushi vision. Hopefully there'll be some liquidity there and some volume so we can actually look at it properly. So I look at waifu. There's a waifu ETH pair. Yes, I understand. And one waifu equals 0.07891 ETH, so $171. So that's the price of one waifu token. So if I buy a waifu token, it means I can go and claim a waifu from the waifu vault. So any one of these, I will be able to claim. And there's more there. But that seems fair enough. So where this will get interesting is if the floor price or the price of the NFT that you have is lower than the token price on SushiSwap, then it's probably a good idea to put it into the vault, get the token, and redeem for a higher price because you're getting a better price than you would do otherwise. And with the liquidity pool, you should be able to make a swap, but it's worth checking the actual value locked up in that liquidity pool to see if you can actually make the swap. Because, I mean, even with a liquidity pool, it's still going to be tricky. So that is version 1, a little bit of an overview. Let's now look at version 2. So there's a nice chunky Medium post, and basically the main changes here are they want to encourage people to, instead of doing tranches of vaults like the Punks ones, just to do one big vault so they can capture the entire range of value from small to high. I suspect this is mainly because of the rising price of base apes. They want to make it easier for people to jump in. There might have also been pools that were dependent on other pools like Punk Zombies. But that's one thing they're doing. They're going to be more meme-friendly, cash-taggable tickers, no more hyphens. So we saw that there was a punk zombie. Now there's going to be just one simple cash tag for that. They're going to replace the term fun with vault. Okay, so far so good. But here we get to the meat of it. So targeted redemptions. This is one of the bigger ones. As we looked at before, if you wanted to buy a redeemer waifu or an NFT from the vault, you buy the token, you redeem it, but you don't know which one you're going to get. It's completely at random. Now, you're going to be able to select which NFT you want from the pool. So you could go in there and see one that might be undervalued, see a price difference between the token on the market and the token that's sat in the pool because somebody put it in there a long time ago and the market has changed, it's gone up in value. You think, great, I want to have that. You can go and select it, but you will have to pay for it. And so there'll be a fee of 5% to do so. And that'll mean that you can then select the NFT that you want. So that's the fee for doing so. And the reason that fee is important is because this allows there to be a profit generating mechanism, which can then be circled back into the entire protocol. So, if you are supplying liquidity to any of the pools available for NFTX, you will then be able to stake the LP token that you create into a pool and earn basically those fees. from the redemptions, and there are some other fees that turn up as well on the platform. So, for instance, you'll be able to do things like liquidity apps, which will allow you to mint a token, add it as liquidity, and then stake it all in a single transaction. So if you imagine minting, adding liquidity, and then staking, that's 3 different transactions. That could end up being quite expensive if gas is high. This will allow you to do that all in one go. That's pretty cool. And we can look at, I think there's some, let me have a look here. I think if we look at version 2, or we can just jump straight to version 2 now. I think there's a link. Here we go. Yep. So if we look at version 2 now, we can see there's a staking tab. And there are basically staking rewards to be earned on, for instance, new projects like polymorphs. Now, polymorphs is an interesting one because polymorphs don't actually have any rarity traits. You don't trade on the rarity, you trade on the aesthetics. And that means that it's quite hard to price them. It's quite hard to understand how they should be priced. So I think a lot of people will have polymorphs that they might not necessarily want to get rid of, but that they are struggling to find liquidity for. And it looks like there's a morph ETH liquidity pool there, which would be very helpful, I suspect, for people who own that particular NFT. Now, the rewards are not active yet, but they're going to be pretty soon. And to all intents and purposes, I think everything else is fairly similar to what it was, apart from the vaults. So the vaults are being slowly bundled back into single vaults. So if there were multiple vaults issued in one set of NFTs, then they're slowly buying them back and reducing the numbers of tokens, and these are now going to be called NFTX vaults, and they'll have a different type of token. But that's NFTX version 2. So if you were struggling to find a buyer for an NFT, and you have a base level NFT and you just want to kind of get some cash out, then I think it's worth having a look at this, because not only can you get some liquidity out, but you could also supply liquidity and earn fees based on people's activity on NFTs. And if we look at how many collectibles projects have come out in the last month alone, there are going to be a lot of NFTs sitting in people's wallets that they just don't know what to do with. There just simply isn't enough appetite to keep buying these things. And as we know, when things sort of turn against us, liquidity is the thing that we need the most. It becomes a bit of a desert out there. So that was NFTX. It's really exciting and interesting to see these new DeFi flavored pieces of infrastructure built on top of NFTs, because there's a huge appetite for these things, a huge amount of excitement around them, but it's pointless unless you can keep money sloshing around. And that is effectively what NFTX does. So I'm looking forward to see what they do next. I might dump some of my pickles into this vault just for the lols. Or maybe we can do a tutorial on that tomorrow. But that was NFTX. If you have any suggestions for what I should cover in first look, do drop me a line. You can DM me on Twitter. And I promise you, I will not sing anymore. That was it for today. See you on the next one. Peace.